Kia ora, kouwha Smith aho. Nā mai ki te whare, welcome to the House. There've been a few news stories out of Parliament this week that weren't just about politics, but which made more sense with a little background on how Parliament works. So I sat down with the Clerk of the House of Representatives, David Wilson. He runs Parliament's Secretariat, the Office of the Clerk, and he literally wrote the guide on how Parliament works, which makes him ideal for some of that background. The story today was about public submissions on the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi Bill and a motion to stop some of them from being ignored because the bill may be reported back to the House before the committee has had time to read them all.
When a committee calls for submissions on a bill, it's staff of the Office of the Clerk who are provide secretariats to all of the select committees who receive those submissions and process them. And what processing them means is checking them for a few things to make sure they comply with Parliament's rules, and if a committee's set any particular rules or requirements about submissions, to check those as well. They'll also look to just make sure the submission is relevant to the thing that it's supposed to be about. They're not always. So staff will do that, then they make them available to the committee's members, the MPs, and flag to the committee any submissions that might need a decision made, say if it's not relevant or if it doesn't follow those rules, to send it back or to ask for it to be changed and returned.
Are they all scanned so that all the committees can look at them at the same time, or is there a great pile of paper in a room somewhere?
Most of them are made electronically,
anyway,
more than 95%. Paper ones are scanned, and then they're made available online.
At some point, the ministry tends to get involved and do some analysis on those, because your staff is actually not that large. I mean, there's no way that 2 or 3 people who work for a committee could go through 200,000 submissions.
No.
So the ministry's brought in, right?
Yeah, so ministries or departments who have worked on developing the policy behind a bill are almost always asked to then give advice to the select committee on the bill, because they know about it and they know how it works and what it's intended to do, and they're in a good position to analyse any submissions made on the bill for how they might fit in or propose changes. So they do that, and normally those stages happen one then the other. So my staff receive all the submissions, they check them for those things that I've mentioned, and then they go to the committee and to officials so that officials can give advice on them. That isn't the case where there is a vast number of submissions. That is more than the staff can process in that time.
Yeah.
So many of those steps could happen simultaneously.
This week it has been suggested that the House will receive potentially the committee's report back on this bill quite soon, but some MPs have complained that they actually haven't looked at all the submissions yet because there were just so many. But the House has passed a motion to say we'll look at them anyway. How will that work? Who will do that?
That's right. So when a committee reports a bill to the House, it's finished with it. It can't make any more decisions about the bill. Any correspondence or papers it receives about the bill, it can't deal with as part of that bill anymore. It doesn't have it.
Yep,
and committees can only
it back.
Yeah, committees can only do work given to them by the House about bills, and once they give it back, they're finished with it. So the resolution the House has made is that even though, in the case of the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi Bill, there are still a lot of submissions to deal with, and there still will be even once the report has been presented to the House, the Justice Committee can continue to deal with them as if it still had the bill. So it can make decisions about whether they're relevant, whether to return them, whether to keep them and make them part of the record, which is, I expect, what would happen with the vast majority of them. And it also means that when my office publishes all of those submissions online, they will be part of the record of the bill, so that in the future, when people want to see all of the submissions on the bill, they will all be in one place and they will all be collected together under that bill.
Because otherwise, even if they were published, they would be some sort of weird addendum of other stuff.
That's right, yeah.
Right.
And that's not great, and it's not logical or easy for people to find it that way, even though it does follow Parliament's rules.
Right. So the outcome of this would be then that they won't be part of the thing that went back to the House, but they would be part of the record for what the committee eventually has discussed.
They'll be part of the record and also part of the analysis that the ministry officials did on the bill.
Right. It's unprecedented, isn't it? Every time the record is broken, it seems to be almost broken by an order of magnitude. That's an exaggeration, but it's kind of heading in that direction.
It is very much
doubles.
heading in that direction, because the previous record was 107,000, now it's about 330,000. Before it was 107, it was something like 36,000. Before that, about 20,000, which all at the time seemed like large numbers.
Yeah, and it's not like you've suddenly got 10 times as many people to deal with them or anything.
No, we have the same. Committee secretariats are usually 3 people. In the case of the Justice Committee, it's 4, because it's a committee with a big legislative workload anyway. But we've allocated about another dozen staff from across the office and temporary staff that were hired to help work on that.
So they only had to do like 20,000 each or something?
That's right, yeah. And that's, 10-15% of our workforce. So it's quite a substantial number of people involved.
Yeah. That was David Wilson, the Clerk of the House of Representatives. On Sunday, we will continue this discussion with some background to the Te Pāti Māori privileges case, like what the heck is this privilege thing anyway, and why does Parliament have its own court for folk who allegedly break Parliament's internal rules? You've been listening to The House. E te whakarongo koe ki te whare. This program is produced with funding from Parliament's Office of the Clerk. Mā te wā.